Of the Western nations, France is probably the most skeptical of the U.S. effort to limit China's ambitions. France is not part of the Quad alliance that aims to counter China in the Indo-Pacific. Very recently, Emmanuel Macron's government recalled its ambassador as a reaction to the Trilateral Security Pact, AUKUS, in which the US and the UK agreed to provide Australia with nuclear capabilities. But in September, a research institute affiliated with the French Defense Ministry released the most extensive analysis of the CCP's propaganda machine ever published in the West. Hello, welcome to my show. I'm Lei. The 646-page report titled The Chinese Influence Operations, a Machiavellian Moment is written by Jean-Baptiste Jean-Jean Villemer, who is Dean of the School of Strategic Studies of the French Military Academy, and Paul Charon, an intelligence and China expert. The vast detailed report was completed after 2 years of investigation by over 50 experts, and the investigation purposefully avoided all pro-communist China scholars, sinologists, research institutes, and politicians. The authors issued a warning up front that the report might be labeled as anti-China, but they stated that the report is aimed at the strategies of the Chinese Communist regime and the individuals participating in it, not at China or the Chinese people. The report analyzed the CCP's attempts to exert influence and control and confirms that its military is developing and using non-military political warfare to export communist hegemony, and that the outside world hasn't paid enough attention. Specifically, the regime is using public opinion, psychological, and legal warfare, the so-called three warfares, to win the war against the free world. Peter Mattis, an American researcher at the National Democratic Institute, wrote about the three warfares in 2018. According to Mattis and the French report, public opinion warfare is to manipulate public opinion both domestically and globally. Psychological warfare is to attack the morale of the enemy, and legal warfare is to shape the legal context for justifying the CCP's actions. The French report identified the People's Liberation Army 61716 unit as the Three Warfare Command Center. This unit is part of the PLA Strategic Support Force, which is the force behind China's space, cyber, and electronic warfare. The command center of the PLA unit is Base 311, which is located in Fuzhou, right across the Taiwan Strait. The base is disguised as a commercial company to the outside world and includes China Huayi Broadcasting Corporation, the Sound of the Straits Radio, and SITC Press. In 2019, total investments in these companies equaled $70 million. Two base commanders, Major General Song Haihang and Major General Yue Lei, have also held the position of chairman for the China Huayi Broadcasting Corporation. Yue Lei used the pseudonym Qiu Yu. The report confirmed that Major General Yue Lei and Huayi Broadcasting Chairman Qiu Yu are the same person. Huayi Broadcasting Corporation comprises news, entertainment, internet, TV, and policy research divisions, among others, and employs executives who are experts on PLA psychological warfare. Chen Guojun, the executive board director of Huaxia Bank, which is a commercial bank publicly traded on the Shanghai Stock Exchange, is also a cadre at Base 311. The French report identified Chen as an expert on psychological warfare and the deputy chief of staff at the base. Chen studies American psychological warfare and published an article in 2015 titled The System Building of U.S. Air Force Military Information Support Operations. Another PLA officer, Ai Songru, who has been the executive director and general manager of Huayi Broadcasting since 2012, under the pseudonym Ike, had previously served in the political department of the 16th Army of the PLA. Ai Songru co-authored a book on the use of psychological warfare during the Iraq War. Base 311 is responsible for operating the PLA's political warfare. Since 2011, all psychological warfare against Taiwan has been carried out at this base, including the news propaganda during the 2018 Taiwan elections. The report added that the base has also conducted research on the United States, including analysis of legislative measures to combat propaganda and the role of social media in American political life. In addition, Base 311 also manages China's huge army of online trolls, aka the 50 Cent Army, which has 2 million full-timers and 20 million part-timers. These professional trolls flood social media platforms with pro-Beijing messages, giving people the illusion of genuine support for the regime and spontaneous public condemnation of remarks that are perceived as hostile to the regime. According to the French report, some trolls are sent to work in Malaysia, a place known for content farms. Members of content farms are encouraged to share and create content to get compensated. This content is developed purely to satisfy algorithms in order to maximize search engine optimization or SEO. The local Malaysian 50 Cent soldiers are paid anywhere between $15 to $150 per piece by the Chinese regime for their work, depending on the length of the piece. In terms of legal warfare, the report cited, for example, that Beijing relied on the CCP's amended interpretation of the law of the sea in an attempt to force coastal countries to abandon their legal rights guaranteed by the UN Convention. In terms of public opinion warfare, the report said that Beijing has already laid the groundwork to influence new and traditional media outlets to its advantage. In addition, its diplomats occupy top positions at various UN agencies. For example, the 4 special UN agencies that set standards are now all under the control of the CCP. They are the UN Industrial Development Organization, the International Telecommunication Union, the International Civil Aviation Organization, and finally FAO, which is the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN. Today, no major country holds as many key positions in the UN as China. The last part of the report gave case studies and mentioned that Beijing's political war has 2 stages. The first stage focuses on Taiwan, Hong Kong, Australia, and New Zealand. The second stage is Europe and North America. As soon as the report was released, one of the major French newspapers, Le Monde, covered it. It was then widely reported by at least 30 French media outlets and was said to have caused quite a stir in France. Maybe it's time that Emmanuel Macron's government rethinks its China policy. You can watch my video on China's troubled relations with major countries around the world and on the recent Biden-Xi call by clicking there. Thank you for watching, and please like and share this video. I'll see you next time.